What's up, Internet? Kid Yuki here. Welcome to my very first guitar tutorial video. Now, because this is my first tutorial video, I apologize in advance if I'm a little all over the place with the structure as I'm figuring out how best to put these videos together. Now, because of that, what I need from you is to give me as much constructive feedback on this video as you possibly can. So watch through it, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, if there's anything that I left out that I should have put in, if I said too much stuff and I kind of rambled on for a long time, if I explained anything too fast or too slowly. Any and all feedback is greatly appreciated because I just want to make these tutorials as good and most importantly as useful and helpful to you as I possibly can. Today I'm going to be teaching you how to play the TV-sized version of Again by Yui, also known as the first opening to Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. You can see I've got Colonel Mustang over there watching me, judging, seeing if I screw this up. The video is going to be in 5 sections, and I'll put timestamp tags so you can skip to whatever section you want. Section number 1 will be a little explanation of how I put these acoustic covers together. I'll probably make that into its own separate video later, but for now I think there's some good information in there that I thought should be included. Section 2 will be the tutorial for the song in its original key, E minor. Section 3 will be a playthrough of Again in E minor, so once you've got it learned, you practice it a bit, and you want to play it along with me, you can skip to Section 3 and play along there. Section 4 is going to be the tutorial for the version that I do when I'm by myself or when it's me and David. I've got to tune the song down to a more of a male range, so I'm going to do that in B minor. And so Section 4 will be the tutorial for Again in B minor. And Section 5, finally, will be the playthrough of the song in B minor. A lot of times when I'm playing songs on acoustic guitar, I'm either doing so in a noisy, crowded convention hall or on the live stream with a djembe next to me. And in those cases, I'm unamplified and I'm trying to compete with some noise, whether it's congoers or, again, David's djembe. And in those situations, there are 3 things that I need to do to be effective. I need to play loudly, I need to play energetically, and I need to play sustainably, which means I'm often playing for long periods of time. You know, the stream is an hour or so, and I'm often playing just about all day at a convention. So I need to play in a way where my hands won't get tired. I can just keep playing with the same level of energy without getting worn out. And those 3 things very much inform the way that I approach acoustic covers in general. One thing that you may or may not notice if you watch stuff that I've done either live or even in some videos, my guitar, my acoustic and sometimes even my electric guitar will often be tuned a half step down. So that's to E flat standard, where each string, instead of your E, A, D, G, B, E, you'll have E flat, A flat, D flat, G flat, B flat, E flat. And I do that because not only am I playing for a long period of time, but I'm often singing for a long period of time. And a lot of the songs that I'm singing require some, sort of higher notes in my register. So even just bringing things down a half step like that helps me out a lot. It helps kind of preserve my voice over time. All right, now, as far as what I'll play to meet those 3 criteria, there are a handful of things that I do. One of which, if I'm trying to be loud, I want to avoid single note little riff things as much as possible, unless they're really, really necessary. Just doing single note things on an acoustic guitar in a noisy room, that'll easily get lost as opposed to just playing big, loud chords like that. And along a similar line, I'll try to avoid bar chords as much as possible, because I don't know about you guys, I'm not ashamed to admit it, I have relatively small hands, and bar chords are just an absolute death for me, for my hands. I can play them every once in a while, and sometimes they're necessary, and sometimes they just have a certain sound that you need, but they're just way harder to fret than what I would call an open chord. You play your G chord as opposed to your G major bar chord. This is just way easier because you don't have the index finger laying down and having to apply a bunch of pressure with your hand and then also with your wrist. So I end up incorporating a lot of open chords, and not just your standard. When you're first starting out learning guitar, you're learning your G major, E major, minor, A major, A minor, D major, D minor, C, that kind of stuff. But I've tried to find a way to use open chords, or really just non-bar chords, in other situations. So a B minor, say you're playing a B minor here, but you could also do it like this, or you could also do it like just take your index finger, keep it from barring, so you're just hitting the 2nd fret of the A string with your index finger, so you've got something like this. And what you get are chords that they're not just strict major or minor chords. You don't just have your 1, your major or minor third, and your 5. You might have a 7 or a 9 or 11 or 13. You might get some weird things in there, and I won't bore you with all the theory right now. But you get some additional color as opposed to your standard major and minor chords. So this is cool. But this is also really cool. Or additionally, you could do something like this up here, and that just is a really nice. I don't know, it's not barred, so you can play it really loudly. But it just also has these really cool open strings ringing out. That just, I don't know, it just has some really cool color to it. You can do that with other things too. You can do with, I mean, C is already an open chord, but if you could do something like this up here, it's really pretty. Or same thing with D or A or F sharp even. Sometimes I call that like a Rush chord because you hear that. Alex Lifeson from Rush uses that chord a lot. Now, one thing I will say when doing some of these open shapes of chords is that you have to watch your wrist. If I'm going to be a good teacher, I got to show you technically one of the main keys to playing sustainably, playing for a long period of time and playing regularly without wearing your hands out and without potentially hurting yourself is to keep your wrist as straight as possible when you're fretting. So it's easy to do that with simple open chords like a G, an E, or something like that. But if you're doing, especially for me, again, with smaller hands, and maybe with bigger hands, it's easier to do this. But when you're doing a bar chord, depending on where your guitar is sitting, say if I'm just kind of keeping it like this, look at how bent my wrist gets. And right now it's not so bad, but after a while it'll just wear out my hand a lot more. And especially if you do that for days or weeks, you'll start to wear out the tendons in your wrist. And I've gotten a little bit of tendonitis here and there from kind of using some less than proper technique. So do as I say, not as I do in this case. And one way to work on this is to keep your guitar at more of an angle like this. You'll see classical guitarists play with their neck up at way more of an upward angle like this because it's easier to properly fret things without messing up their wrist. Like that. Now I imagine most of you don't want to tune all of your strings down a half step. So today I'm just playing everything with a regular old E standard tuned guitar. So if you listen to my, again, cover video that I put up about a month ago, you'll see me play these chord shapes that I'm going to show you, but it's actually in rather than being in B minor, it's in B flat minor because I'm playing with a half step down tuned guitar. So don't worry about that. That's why I'm doing the playthroughs in this video, so you can play along in with a standard tuned guitar. All right, for the TV size version of Again, the first thing we have is some palm muted chugging on some power chords. Starting with this one, starting with C, C5, C power chord. Pretty simple. Then we're moving up 2 frets to D. Again, pretty simple. Then once again, moving up to E. Then we do that a couple times. So just these three chords. And then you want to do some palm muting. So, rest your palm on the strings here, just enough, not so much that it completely deadens the strings, but enough that you get this kind of deadened sound a little bit, but you still get the notes coming through. So all together, and you're just stroking down. So just like this. And then again. Like that. And then if you want to get fancy, you can throw in some accents doing this kind of pattern, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So like. And then do that across all 3 chords. So like. And then if you want to get really fancy, you can even, the first time you go up to the E power chord, for one of the times you can move your pinky from that 9th fret up to the 10th fret. So let me show you what I mean. And just like that. Just because there's a piano part in there that's kind of covering. If you want, otherwise just stick to the power chords. So far we got just. And then for this last E power chord, you want to start kind of building in intensity. Remove the palm mute there. And now you're going into the riff section, which I don't bother to play the riff. Again, I try to avoid as many single notes as I can, so I'm just going to play chords here. So we're just going to do simple E minor, open chord. Or if you want, you can do it up here. You can do an E minor like this. Or you can even, have it be kind of more of an open feel like that. Have that open E string there if you don't feel like barring this. But I'm just going to go with the regular old E minor. And then a D. This is how I fret D. And then a C. And then you've got a B dominant 7, B7. Like that. So altogether, like, I won't get into the strumming pattern yet. We'll just do this. I can slow that down a little bit more too. Like that. All right, full disclosure, I'm not great at notating strumming patterns, especially for something like this, because when I play it, I try to incorporate as much of the drum rhythm as I possibly can, and that does get a little bit complicated because I'm doing. Let me show you the pattern here, and if you can pick it up from that, great. And if not, and if people need me to write out a strumming pattern for this section, I can write up like a Google Doc or something and put that in the description box later. So comment below if you want that. But here's what it looks and sounds like just looking at my hands. I'll do that one more time. Okay, so that's your riff section. Although you might not want to end on that B minor, E minor. You might want to go up here instead, because you are going to end up doing some more power chord chugging up here. So you might want to do something like this. And from there, we're doing power chord chugging once again. Starting this time, instead of starting with C and working up to E, we're doing the opposite. We're starting with E and working our way down to C. So it's just, and we're doing that same palm muted pattern. Done 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. So. Actually, I suppose when you get to the C, you might want to mix it up a little bit. And again, I'm bad at writing out strumming patterns, so let me just show you what I do when I get down to the C. So there's that. And then if you want to keep doing that, alternatively, since there's the kind of chord that rings out there, you can do one of these. Do this kind of open E minor chord like this, kind of while you're chugging, if you're able to throw that together. So like this. So yeah. So again, you got two times you're doing this. out like this. And then one more time. And then you want to start building up an intensity on the C, because that's about to get to the crazy fast part. Yeah. So. And so here you want to do an E minor, do a couple big E minor hits, and then let the words kind of go crazy. That whole thing. So here, there's in the original version, in the kind of full band version, there's like a note that they're doing. It's like in between the chord hits, and I tend to skip that. Because it's just it's tricky to do anyway. It's like really tricky to. It's kind of a complicated pattern, so it's hard enough to just do that by itself. Plus, it's even harder to do that to go from playing a chord to doing that pattern. Like, yes, yeah, I'm even struggling to do it now. And then on top of that, again, I'm usually singing on top of this, so it's really hard to do that chord and sing and do that note at the same time. So I just do the chord hits, and then I just do some muted strumming while the vocals are doing their thing. So just do like a like that. So I go and and then you got a C and then a D. So I go and and then you do it again. All right, and so now we're getting into the chorus section. And so now we've got it's mostly C, D, E minor, so. But then now we've got an A and a B. So we'll start the chorus again. And then here's A, B, and then again. Now you just go to the B7. Let's start from that part again. B7. And then you do the first part again. And then C. Big E minor, like that. Hopefully I covered everything. Again, I know I'm kind of all over the place right now, so let me know what I missed or what I don't know. Just tell me what you want me to do differently next time. All right, let's do the playthrough. One, two, three, four. All right, now we're doing my version of Again, which, like I said before, we're doing in B minor. Now, like I said in section one, I usually do this song in B flat minor, which is to say I'll be using the same chord shapes that I'm showing you now, but I use a guitar that's tuned down a half step. But just so you guys don't have to do that, I'm going to show you how to do it in B minor, and then you can play along with that, so you don't have to do any weird tunings or anything like that. In fact, if you want to, once this tutorial is over with, if you want to play along to a fuller version of this song in B minor, I pitch shifted up the cover video that I have on my channel. I moved it, I took that video and I moved it up from B flat minor to B minor, and I uploaded that to a kind of an unlisted video, and I'll link that in the description. I'll link that in here too, if you want to play along to that instead of just playing along to, you know, just me on an acoustic guitar. So this song starts off with some palm muted chugging, doing some power chords. So, you know, palm muting, you know, you're laying your hand like this across the strings, you know, enough so that it kind of deadens the strings a little bit, but not enough that you totally lose the notes. You know, we're starting with a G5, a G power chord, so it's just, you know, 3 and 5, just like that. You know, palm muted. So there's that. So you got your G. And then you've got your A power chord. You don't have to worry about. I just lay my index finger across this, across all these second frets. But you know, in this case, I'm just doing the power chord. But then I have this here if I decide later that I want an A major. This is our fret A major. It's way easier than doing this. I just do it like that. Anyway, so you got your G power chord, A power chord, and then B power chord. So, or if you want, you know, you can move up and down the E string like that. You can just move up 2 frets each time if you want, but I prefer to keep it in this position. So again, all palm muted. So you're going, yeah, G, then your A, then your B. And you know, if you want to get fancy, you can start throwing in an accented chugging pattern. So like so it's like a 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1. So like this, like. So trying that with the chords like this. And when I get to the B, I do a little bit of a different pattern. Like I'll show you what I mean. I'm bad at explaining it and writing it out. If you want me to write out any of these strumming or chugging patterns later, let me know. I wasn't sure if you guys would want something like that, and I'm not very good at writing that stuff out. But if you need me to do it, I will do it, and I'll link it in the description later. So comment below if that's something you want. But anyway, here's what it sounds and looks like. Here's the different thing. Like that. Here, I'm gonna show it to you again one more time. All right, so we got that. So that's the first time. So let's do that one more time, and then and then it's the same. It's the same thing. It's same chords, just going through twice. So G, A, B, back to G, A, and then B. Now when you get to the B here, you want to start to kind of increase in intensity as you're leading up to the riff section. I'll show you all together like that. Again. And now here's the build. And if you want to, you can start fretting a B minor chord, so you can add a little bit more intensity, like. Or you know, like I said, I always try to avoid bar chords when possible. So if you want to just lift up your index finger and just do something like this, I tend to use this chord quite a lot in this version of this song. So to do like a. that. So now we're into the riff section, and again, I'm not doing the riff. I'm not doing that here because it wouldn't make any sense. This is a version I play just with one single acoustic guitar. So sometimes I hum it, but I just play the chords underneath, which are just a B minor. Although again, I'll use this open version pretty often. Or if you want one B minor form that I also like to use is this, which is a bit more colorful. 2-0-2-0-2, like that. But again, I usually end up going with this one. And then you've got an A, which I like to start off with this A sus2, like this, and then add the 3, like that. So you got your open B, your A sus2, then your A major, then you got your G, and then the one kind of necessary bar chord is this F sharp. I mean, if you absolutely don't want to do the bar chord, you can do this, where you kind of mute your first and sixth string. It doesn't ring out quite as much. It's not quite as loud because you don't have that bass note, but it's easier on the hands. So I do that, and it's even more strenuous to fret this, but I do like to lift up my pinky near the end and do an F sharp dominant 7 like that. And so I'll show you what it's like all together. I won't do the strumming pattern just yet. I'll just show you the chords. So it's like. Here's the 7. And then end with that B minor ringing out. If you want to get weird, you can do that F sharp rush chord. I don't think it really fits as well, but if you like it, I figure I'll give you a few options and you pick what kind of flavor of these chords you like more. So, all right, and so now here's with the strumming pattern, and I said this in the E minor song tutorial that I'm not great at figuring out and writing out strumming patterns. So I'll show you how to do the strumming pattern, and if you want me to write it out later, I'll figure out how to do it, and I'll put that in a Google Doc or something. I'll link it in the video description. But here's what it looks like, because it's a little bit complicated. Because the whole thing is with the strumming patterns that I use, since I'm often just playing by myself, I try to incorporate as much of the drum rhythm as I possibly can, and the drums are kind of active in that song, especially in that riff section. So I get a strumming pattern that's kind of like. And so it's kind of like that. I'll slow it down a little bit more. I could probably write that out. I'm being lazy. Sorry. So here's what that pattern is like across all the chords. All right, so there's your riff section. Now we're into the verse, and we're doing some more power chord chugging, back to the palm muting. And we're using the same chords that we did in the very intro of the song, except instead of going from G to A to B, we're going down. We're going B to A to G. So with a very similar kind of pattern with the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 kind of thing. So starting with the B. Except here on the G, I do a little bit of a different rhythm. All right, so there's that. So you do that twice, and then the third and fourth times. If you want to get kind of fancy with it, if you want, you can just do that part 4 times, and that would be fine. But for me, the third and fourth time, I like to hit this chord and let it ring out while I'm chugging a little bit. Let some of those strings ring out. So again, you do 2 times. Yume Suzuki, oika kite ita hazu nano ni, magare kuneta hosui michi hito ni tsu. All right, and then you want to let it ring out. And then again. And then here you want to just like let that build in intensity as we're getting to the fast crazy section. I guess we can call it the pre-chorus, but I just like to call it the fast crazy section, the crazy fast vocal section. And then really you're just doing 2 big B minor hits like that, which again you can do that chord. I mean, you can do the bar if you really want to, but you know, I would prefer the extra ringing strings. Or you can do this guy, the 20202, or you can do up here, which is another one that I really like. Or even this, you can put your pinky down there too. I like that one a lot, but I end up going with this one more often. So you have just big, loud B minor chords, and you know, in the original song, you know, in the full band version, you there's the hits, and then there's a note that's kind of being picked a bunch, like this minor third that's getting picked. And it's in a very peculiar picking pattern. And I just tend to, when I'm playing it by myself, when I'm playing the song just me, and even when it's me and David, I tend to leave that part out. A, because it's just kind of a complicated picking pattern. Anyway, this. So, you know, it's a complicated pattern by itself, but then trying to do that and doing the chords, so like doing the, like, gets kind of hard. And then especially when I'm singing and trying to do all that at once, it's just kind of crazy. So I just, rather than doing that picked note, I just do some muted strumming, just some 16th note muted strumming. So I just like, and then got a G, then an A, and then you do that again. So you just do that part twice. So. Again. So there's your crazy fast pre-chorus part. You know, that whole thing. So now we can get into the chorus, and the chorus is just G, A, B minor. Again, I'm going to do the open B minor. And then you've got an E and another stupid barred F sharp. I'm so sorry, but it's kind of important. Or again, you can do the kind of cheater chord like that. So, or this, do that B minor. And again, I'm you know, if you need me to write out the strumming pattern for this section, I will. It's like a. It's very similar to the strumming pattern in the riff section. So, and now you just hit, instead of doing the E and the F sharp, you just do an F sharp. So, I'll show you those first 2 times again. And now do the E, F sharp. Now just the F sharp. And then here's the E, F sharp. A, and then hold it, and then big B minor. Either that or that's a good one to end on. So I'll take you through the whole chorus, just so you can see it. B minor. And there you go. There's the version that I do, which again, I use a half-step tune guitar, but this is close enough to what I do. All right, let's play it all the way through. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. And there you go. That's how you play again from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. I hope this video was helpful to you. If it was, I hope you'll click that like button and subscribe to my channel. If it wasn't helpful, please tell me what I can do for next time to make it better. In fact, even if you did like it, please tell me what you think I can do to improve, because I just want to make this as helpful as I possibly can for all you watching. If you really like the videos that I make here, I hope you'll consider supporting me on my Patreon page right there. I've got some exclusive content going up there all the time and some cool incentives for different levels of support. One more time, I really hope this was helpful to you. Please give any and all feedback that you can think of. And until next time, keep anime rockin'.